All right, let's talk about a problem that I'm guessing hits close to home for a lot of us in the data world. We spend all this time building these incredible analyses and dashboards, but then how do you get people to actually use them? Let's dive in.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You can have the most brilliant, complex, mind-blowing model, but if it just sits on a server somewhere and doesn't lead to a single real-world action, well, then it doesn't mean a thing. Today, we're going to figure out how to build that bridge between our data and actual decisions.
So let's paint a picture. I bet this sounds familiar. You've been grinding for weeks, maybe even months, on a project. You've wrangled the data, you've perfected the model, you've made the visuals pop, and you hit send. And then, crickets. Nothing.
Yeah, it just ends up gathering digital dust. Your stakeholders might look at it for a second, say something like, huh, that's interesting, and then go right back to making decisions the same old way, using their gut. It is so frustrating, right? And it happens all the time. But the good news? It's a solvable problem. It really is.
And here's the secret. The solution isn't about building even more complex models or adding flashier charts. No, it all comes down to two really fundamental ideas that, when you put them together, make your work totally indispensable.
And what's really key here is understanding these two separate things. So on one side, you've got user experience, or UX. This is all about the who and the how. I mean, who are you actually building this for? Is it a CEO who's glancing at it on their phone between meetings? Or is it an analyst who needs to dig deep at their desk? And then, on the other side, you have domain context. This is the what. What are the unspoken rules of this industry? What's the jargon they use? What are the business realities that really matter? You absolutely need both.
Which brings us to this simple little mantra you can just stick in your head: design for the user and frame for the domain. If you nail this, you stop just showing people data, and you start giving them answers in a language they actually speak and understand.
Okay, so to make this less abstract, let's walk through a real-world example. Let's pretend you're a data analyst for a food delivery app we'll call Hungry Now. The marketing team needs a new weekly dashboard, and your mission is to make it so good, so useful, that they can't imagine starting their week without it.
So first things first, you've got to know your users. And notice I said users, plural. You don't just have one. You have the marketing lead, who needs that quick, high-level summary on her phone. You have the growth analyst, who wants to get their hands dirty, slicing and dicing the data every which way. And then you have the CX manager, who's trying to connect the dots between how fast the delivery is and whether our customer is happy. See, these aren't just job titles. They're basically blueprints for what you need to build.
And now, watch how those user needs directly translate into design choices. For that busy marketing lead, you put big, clear numbers, the KPIs, right at the very top. For everybody, you use titles in plain English, like "When are we busiest?" instead of some technical jargon like "order count by date time." For that deep dive analyst, you build in interactive filters. And of course, for that on-the-go exec, you make sure it looks great on a phone. This isn't just about making things pretty. It's about making things work for the people using them.
But here's the thing. A great user experience, on its own, is not enough. You also have to be fluent in the business itself. You need that domain context. This is all about translating raw data points into the real, messy world of getting food to hungry people.
So what does that mean in practice? Well, it means you don't just show orders by the hour. No, you use dayparting. You group the data into breakfast, lunch, dinner, because that's how the business actually thinks. You practice good promo hygiene, meaning you separate out the promotion weeks so you can see the real lift. You get that what's popular in one neighborhood is totally different from another. And you know that a slow delivery might have nothing to do with the restaurant. It could be a shortage of drivers. This context is what makes your analysis truly insightful.
Okay, so let's put it all together now. Let's look at just one piece of the final dashboard, the order heat map. This is where that perfect marriage of UX and domain context really comes to life.
At first glance, it looks like a simple chart, but it's so much more. It's designed specifically to answer that crucial business question, when are we busiest? It immediately shows that huge peak on a Friday night. And then, and this is the great UX part, a user can just hover their mouse over that bright red spot and a tooltip pops up showing them exactly how much of that peak was because of a specific promo. It's simple, it's intuitive, and it's packed with business-savvy insight.
So, the big question. Did it actually work? I mean, the ultimate test for any data product isn't how clever it is, right? It's whether it actually changes how people behave. So let's look at the impact. The results were pretty immediate and easy to measure. First off, the number of people actually using the dashboard every week shot way up. People were engaged. But maybe even more importantly, the number of one-off requests flooding the data team's inbox, it plummeted. And why is that? Because the users were finally empowered to answer their own questions.
And this, right here, is the holy grail, driving actual decisions. The marketing team looked at that heat map and had an aha moment. They realized their promo was starting just a little too late, so they moved it 30 minutes earlier. The ops team saw the connection between late-night delays and angry customers, so they beefed up driver coverage. The dashboard wasn't just a report, it was a catalyst for real business change.
And the story doesn't end there, because it never should. The team built a feedback loop. They actively asked users, hey, what do you like? What's confusing? And based on that feedback, they made little tweaks like simplifying a chart here or adding a simple email export button there. The dashboard kept evolving right along with the user's needs. So after all that, what's the big idea? What's the main takeaway you can bring back to your own work to make sure your data actually makes a dent in the universe? It really all comes back to this one idea: user experience and domain context. These are the two things that transform data from being a passive report into an active tool for decision-making. You've got to obsess over your users, speak their language, and build things that reflect the world as they see it.
And so I'll leave you with this final thought for your own projects. Take a hard look at the dashboards and reports you've built. Are they just a rear-view mirror, simply telling people what already happened? Or are they more like a GPS, helping people figure out where they need to go next? Because that difference, that's everything.